Welcome to Escape Purgatory, a podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week, leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory. Well, hello.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I cannot get the name of this episode right. I always want to call it Meat Swap.
Still maintain that sounds rude.
It does. It absolutely does. Especially with what happens in this episode as well. But no, it's season 5, episode 12, Swap Meet.
Yeah.
With an A.
Yeah.
And it was written by Julie Siege and directed by Robert Singer. There were not enough zooms in this episode.
No, there should have been more. And this episode of any episode called for some zooms, I feel.
It definitely did. And I'm going to say it. I actually quite like this episode. I thought it was fun. It was bad, but it was a fun bad. And you know what? After last week's episode, which was just bad and kind of boring, this was just... And I think the thing I liked about it, I guess, is that this is it was a Jared episode, so he got to be on screen most of the time and have fun with it. And I think that was what it was.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That is the good thing about this. Because I was going to come and say, after this episode and last episode, I don't know why Supernatural got renewed for season 6. It's not that bad. It's just because I fully picked up season 5 and I was like, yeah, season 5's the best season. It has all the best episodes. And now I'm starting to doubt myself and I'm like, what? Where's the plot? Where's the plot gone? Where is it gone? Because it's a big plot. Where is it? Is it hiding?
I mean, this has a little bit of plot. I mean, I don't think it really goes anywhere, but it has a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And only because I feel like they wrote this episode and then they're like, wait. But the problem with the swapping bodies is now that vessel's just out there. So we better in some way address this. Also, it had the actress who plays... Oh, what is her name? She's in Grey's Anatomy. She plays a doctor. She's a big character in Grey's. I spent the episode where is she from? Is she from Buffy? Where is she from? And then it finally clicked because she's so much younger here than she is in Grey's Anatomy, because Grey's Anatomy's literally been going on forever as well. So I'm sure she plays Amber.
Yes, Amber Brown.
Hey, with my remembering Grey's Anatomy characters. Okay. But yeah, that was, and that really threw me off because, I spent most of the episode where is she from? Where is she from? I recognise her so much. Where is she from? Yeah.
And what's funny is that you can tell that even though they're supposed to be late or teenagers, they're not. They're probably in their early 20s as well. Surely.
Yeah, almost definitely.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like this episode. I thought it was silly. It was just silly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's kind of silly and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this episode, I don't think.
No, there's nothing. Last week there's a few problematic things. We've come across a few other problematic things, but yeah. The one big thing, is that not problematic, but Dean so desperately wants a friend that he didn't even pick up that Sam wasn't really being Sam, right?
Right. He should have got this way sooner.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he definitely did not.
I mean, maybe he thought that Sam was just acting weird in this episode because they failed to shoot the devil and then he went through that whole thing at the psychiatric hospital. So maybe he just thought Sam's finally, broken.
And Dean does what he does best and buried it down.
Yeah. Well, To be fair, Dean said to him last episode, like, just put that stuff in a box and shut that box and don't look at the box. So maybe this is Sam doing that. Maybe that's what this looks like for him. That's what Dean thought. But yeah, he definitely should have got this way sooner. It's almost embarrassing, Dean.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm convinced now that the demon blood is what made him like vegetarian.
Yeah. I actually did think about this because I remember you making a point before. I want to make it sad and say I think Sam's whole vegetarianism health kick thing is because it's the one thing in his body that he has control over, right? Because everyone's always trying to take control of his body. So I think it's a control thing for Sam.
Yeah, but that makes more sense.
Well, that also links into the demon blood though. Like, you know, the addiction was an out of control thing. So he's sort of counteracting it with a control thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, it makes sense. Because he drank so much blood that he doesn't need any more blood, so he might as well eat lettuce.
Agreed. So I guess we can get into it. Mm-hmm. And so there was no recap this week. Went straight into the episode. It was actually a shorter episode as well. I don't think it was the usual runtime.
It felt short.
And we're in a bar, and there's a woman who's at a drink, and Sam comes over and orders a drink next to her, and you can tell something's up because he goes,
"Evening, barkeep. I would like to purchase some alcohol, please."
And the bartender's just like, "What are you talking like?
Yeah.
What? Sure, what can I get you?" And he holds up his ID and says, "Well, I'm 26, as you can see from my license." It's just like, maybe it's a cultural thing, but everybody drinks underage, right? I mean, in his circumstance, obviously, his family's very strict and all that. But like, when I turned 18 and could legally drink, it wasn't that big of a deal to just go to the bar and just get a drink. And I think it was even more underwhelming that like I didn't get ID'd for my drink.
No, I think I did the first few times. My main issue with ordering alcohol was like I didn't know what to ask for. Like I drunk.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know how to order the things that I've drunk because I've only been drinking in like a park.
Exactly.
So I do remember like I went up to a bar once and I said, "Can I have a glass of like red wine, like house red?" And they were just looking at me like, "Why?" And I was like, "Have I not ordered that correctly?" I was like, you know, because she just looked at me so like, "What?" I don't know what I said wrong. Like, that's how you order wine, right?
I mean, I don't drink wine, so like, or maybe you're supposed to ask for the wine list. I have no idea. Yeah.
To this day, don't know what I did wrong. Yeah. What's your go-to drinks order? I mean, mine's not actually normally red wine. I don't really like red wine.
So it's usually like rum and coke, or cider. It's one of those two. Like depending on where I'm at and like what I'm doing. So if I'm gonna be driving,
yeah, that's true.
Then I'll get cider, and it'll just be one, for like the whole night. If I'm not driving, then it'll be rum and cokes all night.
Yeah. I think I'm usually on the Jack and Coke, or I don't know what else I drink really. That's pretty much it. Yeah. I'm trying to like think now. No, I'm a pretty standard person. Do occasionally drink a good cider. They have some good ones. In the UK, I guess in the UK it's hard cider, right? Because cider's a different thing in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good. Though I do like something as I've got older. I like my drinks warm, so I do like a mulled wine,
Really?
and I do like a mulled cider, like with a bit of
Nice.
spicy. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I remember going to, was it Alchemist?
Yes, great place. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. So like if I'm gonna go to a place like that, then
Hmm.
I'm gonna order off the menu and see what they have.
Yeah.
But if it's just like a, well, you did ask like what's your go-to, so yeah,
Mm.
Coke.
Yeah, I say that's a really fancy cocktail bar. There's a few. There's one in London, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. They do like stuff with dry ice and scientific equipment and things. It's very cool. Let's go
Yeah.
back there. That's great. I want to go back there. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't order this though. This sounds disgusting.
A banana daiquiri? Yeah. No. Like aren't daiquiris usually like citrus based, like strawberry or not strawberry? Well, I guess I don't know. But banana? Ugh.
Yeah, no, it's wrong, man. And no, I can imagine the taste of it, and it's wrong.
And there's something about like flavor, like banana flavored things that just doesn't taste right.
Right.
Like if you're gonna have a banana flavored something, just have a banana. It's gonna taste like way better.
No, you're right though, because there's a difference between, because I drink a lot of milkshakes, I like milkshakes. There's a difference between a banana flavored milkshake and a banana milkshake, and people need to get on board on menus to tell you which one it is. Because the
Yes.
amount of times I've ordered a banana milkshake and they brought me a flavored one, I've been very disappointed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gross. Just have a banana. So the woman introduces herself. She's called Crystal. And Sam introduces himself as Gary. So we know something's up. And Crystal's like overtly flirting with him. But obviously he's a teenage boy and doesn't quite understand what's going on. She's like, so you having a good night? She says, yeah. He says, yes. You know, it's the best night ever. And she's like, can we make it any better? It's like, I don't know. Probably. Do you want to get out of here? Well, I kind of like this bar. And I just ordered this daiquiri.
So good.
I mean, do you want to get out of here with me?
Are we talking about sex?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yes. Because Crystal, I would love to have the sex with you. I can't imagine people talking like that. Like, I would love to have the sex with you.
Because he's supposed to be 17, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know how much this is revealing either. I think when we were that age, the TV show Skins had come out,
Oh, yeah.
right?
That's true.
And I would say that was surprisingly reflective of our school experience.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I mean, you didn't have all of those experience. Like,
No.
not everybody was doing the drugs. Not everybody was off doing that. But you were
Doing the
you were
sex.
in one of those avenues.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, you were either doing sex, you were either doing drugs, you were getting drunk.
Yeah.
You might have two of them at the same time. But
Or you
rarely
knew
all three.
somebody that was, like, if you were a
Yeah.
good kid, right? There was no going away from it. Like, people say that it was unrealistic, but I remember watching it as a teenager and thinking, how do they know?
And I wonder who's saying it's unrealistic, because like it was set around our area of
Yeah.
England as well. So
Yeah.
it was very much a lived experience for the people who lived in that area. So was it not the same for, like, I don't know, people further south or further
Yeah.
north? Like,
I mean, maybe, but yeah, because it makes, like, Gary seem quite... I mean, it makes sense because he's clearly supposed to be... I want to say good kid, but, like, it doesn't even mean anything, really. Like, he's supposed to be, I guess, on the straight and narrow, and
Right.
his parents are pushing him that way. So I suppose that's why he's so naive, but for a 17, he seems like a young 17.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a very immature 17-year-old. Which is such a weird thing to say, because, like,
17-year-olds are just babies.
they absolutely are. And then, so it shows, like in the mirror, we see who Gary really is, and he's a teenage boy, as we've mentioned. And Crystal compliments his jacket, and she says, and Gary says, thanks. Actually, the whole outfit is new. And then the title card comes up.
I only just realised that was in reference to like the whole body, not just like
Really?
the jacket. I don't know why that didn't twig. Because he said it twice in episode 2, and both times I was like, oh, he's just talking about the jacket. Like, what? Clearly my brain wasn't working. So we cut to like 36 hours earlier.
Very specific.
Yeah. And Dean Impala pulls up, and Dean and Sam are talking to a woman, and she's there with her daughter, and it turns out that she knows them from when they were children because she used to babysit for them when John left them on cases. So she's explained this to her teenage daughter. She said, I was a maid at the Mayflower out on the interstate, and their daddy used to pass through town and leave the boys with me while he went off to work. And one time he was gone for 2 weeks. Left them with a random woman that he met. John freaking Winchester.
They seem really uncomfortable with this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's sort of hyping John up as this, like, hero type. And they're like, I feel like they're coming to terms that he really wasn't that good of a guy.
It's like the, like, rose-tinted glasses have come away, I think.
Yeah.
Because previously, I think they would have been like, oh, you know, how good of John to leave us with this woman, you know, while he was off hunting. And now they're like, oh, well, he left us here so he didn't get in his way. And, you know, what if he had died out on a hunt and they'd been just left with this random woman, you know? So she knows about at least ghosts. I don't think she knows about all monsters because they very carefully say...
Katie, our dad happened to be an expert at getting rid of ghosts, and now so are we.
But he doesn't mention anything else, and he specifically says ghosts. So I think they're trying to protect them from everything else.
Yeah, and I think ghosts are easier to come to terms with than, like, if somebody turned around in my day-to-day life and said ghosts are real and here's the proof, and then I'll be like, fine, okay. But if someone was like, here's vampires, I'd be like, okay, all right then.
Yeah, I agree with you. You'd have like need more serious proof, I think.
Yeah.
This woman says like, well, that's why I called them so they can help us. And clearly there's been some like build up to this and they know what's going on because Dean's like, oh, it sounds like you've got a poltergeist. There's a man who enters and said, oh yeah, you know, it started a month or two after we moved in. And they've had like the typical like things being thrown around and like scratches on the walls. And then it attacked her daughter. And she stands up and like lifts up her shirt and it says murdered child. But child is written in like Old English. Mm-hmm. So yeah, poor girl. She's obviously been traumatized.
Yeah. At the beginning of this episode, I thought this was Gary who had done all of this, like, and like had done spell work to be invisible and kind of like in that other, the wishful thinking.
Yes.
Where he wishes to be invisible.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I thought it was that kind of spell work that he made himself invisible, but I was like, that's kind of mean that he like carved up this girl.
Yeah. Yeah, this episode's just full of like weird coincidences, I think.
Yeah.
Like fully, yeah, it's odd how it all ties together in the end, I think. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they've agreed that they're going to do it, and so Dean says, like, no, why don't you leave for a bit, we'll take care of it, come back and it'll all be sorted. And they're like, thank you. So then we see Sam and Dean in a diner, and we see Gary at the food, he's like a like customer service guy, he's got like the howl.
I think the word you're looking for is waiter.
Waiter, yes, thank you. You know, a guy who brings food. So Dean's ordered and Gary's reading his order back to him. So it's a bacon burger turbo, large chili cheese fry, and a health quake salad shake.
Say that 10 times fast.
I know, right? It makes me think, of McDonald's when like they used to do salad. They don't do salads anymore at McDonald's. Have you ever noticed that? They don't do them anymore.
Oh, that's true. No, I guess because nobody. I mean, who orders a salad from a fast food
I did
place?
one time, but they added like the calories up, and I think they had more calories in than like the burgers if you put the sauce on and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Just made me think of that, like how healthy is Sam being here? Because he has to like shake it, so he's obviously adding something to it. Mm-hmm. And like Gary just kind of like look at Dean when he orders his salad, and Dean's like, "It's not for me." So yeah, Dean gets his food. Sam takes his salad, like shakes it, like.
Oh, you shake it up, baby.
And then he says, "You know, Poltergeist aside, Donna looked pretty good, don't you think?" And Sam's like, "Don't tell me you still got the hots for our babysitter." And I was like, "Dean, don't do this."
I mean, at least they're like more age appropriate now, so I guess it's not so bad.
That's true.
I mean, she is married though, so that's the inappropriate part.
Yeah. I mean, Dean just say like, "No, that's weird," you know, and he's like, you know, I say she's doing good with her husband and her kid. So it's not, you know, he's not unaware. Mm-hmm. And then Dean says, "Oh, God. So do you think you'd ever want something like that? Wife, Rugrats, the whole nine?" And Sam's like, "No, that's not really my thing anymore."
And so I felt what you felt just then, but I was like, people change, it's okay, like, I'm trying not to get angry about this, because like, let's put it in another way, right? Mm-hmm. So for, let's say 20 years, no, maybe not 20 years, for like 10 years, mm-hmm. Sam wanted to get out of the life, like he wanted to wait until he was 18 so he could get away, have mm-hmm. the apple pie life. He then comes back into hunting mm-hmm. unwillingly and is in it for 15 years. Mm-hmm. So, like, and he's now accepted that, you know, this is not what he wants. So, thinking of my own personal experience, when I was 10, I knew I never wanted children.
Yeah.
23 years later, I still don't want children. There were times in between that I was like, oh, maybe. Mm. So I think this is what it is. It's like he accepted his situation of that having a wife and kids was just never going to be an option.
Yeah.
So he had to make peace with that. And then after the end of the series, mm-hmm. or towards the end of the series, he was like, oh, actually, maybe it could be an option. So the idea came back.
And like, I wonder who could have changed his mind on that. Eileen. And they still do it dirty. I mean, you're right, because I think, you know, he's 26, and I think even between 26 and 30, like, I was a completely different person between those two ages at least. And he's even older by the end of the series. And so, fine. We'll accept it and move on.
For now.
For now.
until we, because this is kind of, it's not like a focal point of this episode for me. It's kind of a bit of a throwaway kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not so mad about it, but there are other points in the show that I will be mad about it, because it's just like,
I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even sure like why Dean brings it up here, and they do rehash this later on. I'm like, I can't completely remember what was said, but it's like almost like, I don't know. I don't know. It's an odd one. Or maybe I'll talk about more in the end. So Dean doesn't say what he wants, though we know that he does want the whole nine.
Right.
So they discuss instead the case, and the house that their babysitter lives in is old, 1720s, owned by a guy named Isaiah Pickett, and apparently he hung a woman in his backyard for witchcraft whose name was Maggie Briggs. So they think it's an angry ghost witch. Doesn't explain the murdered child bit or where she's buried.
They don't learn from this. Like, in my mind, Gary's over... So before, like, we realised how Gary knew who they were. Mm-hmm. In my mind, they're talking about just this case just in the open.
Yeah.
And, like, Gary overhears them.
He does. He definitely does. Yeah.
And it's just like, they just keep doing that. Like, I know they have the, you know, the bubble of privacy that can be like enforced within 2 feet of anybody until it can, like in this situation. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird.
You're right. Yeah, they don't ever learn from no.
Yeah.
So
And isn't this the beginning of like Sam being the like Wi-Fi boy because he can get it anywhere?
That's so true. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been doing that for a little while actually, but yeah, he is definitely Wi-Fi boy. He has an antenna growing out there, big melon of his.
I mean, he's tall enough to be an antenna himself.
That's true. Oh, that's it. So they split up. Sam's going to go to the town records, and I don't know what Dean was doing. It doesn't say. But they split up, and so we see Sam walking down the street on the phone to Dean, and he hasn't found anything. Can't find that this woman even existed, let alone where she's buried. And Dean's like, okay, well, we'll pick it up first thing in the morning. And Sam puts down the phone, and then he hears a noise and stops, and then gets taken out by what looks like a tranquilizer dart. It's quite a funny face that he makes. I loved it so much. He's like, ah!
What I want to know is who shot the gun? Was it? Do you think it was Trevor?
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Which I never got Trevor's motivation in this. I think he just wanted, I don't know, to be liked by the girl in this.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's just going along with it for, I don't know, popularity and lols. That's right. This seemed like, do you know what this seemed like? This seems very like Buffy plotline. I think it's because it does involve like high school kids, right? I think that's why it did have those kind of vibes of like messing around with stuff that sometimes Buffy has. Just the way it was shot. I don't know, that like basement room as well. I don't know, it seemed like they could have stolen that off the set of Buffy. I mean, anything from Supernatural, to be fair. I'm like, yeah. I was about to say, you know, my brain is not working on how body swapping works. So I was like, who changed Sam's clothes? And I was like, I remembered what actually happened. It's I'm going to be dumb through this episode. We've got to go with it.
That's fine, because this episode's dumb. Luckily, like, I think that's why I like it, because you don't really have to put much thought into this episode. It was just nice to have on and just like watch.
Yeah, you're right. This is like in the background. I was doing something else when I was watching this. So yeah, Sam blacks out, and then we see him. He's now dressed in the uniform that Gary was wearing from the burger place on the ground, and he is confused. He starts walking down the road, and the police car comes up behind him and is like, oh, I think we've got him. And the policeman's shouting out the window like, Mr. Frankel, Gary Frankel. And Sam's obviously doesn't know who that is. But the policeman's been sent out there to look for him because he's missing, like his family are looking for this kid. And Sam's confused. I think it's quite funny, this. I don't know how I felt about how they shot this episode. Do you wish that they had done the actors playing the other person, or do you like how they did this with like your perspective or their perspective being the thing?
See, I liked this version, but my biggest hang up is that they are looking up at Jared, so it breaks the illusion that they are talking to Gary, who would be about the same height as them.
Yeah.
So if they were talking to his chest rather than his face, they're saying that Sam playing Gary was so entertaining to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like both. I do like how they did this one, but I would like to have seen it the other way around.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, because there are some scenes later on where like we see the like just Gary like interacting with Dean. And I wanted to see Jared deliver some of those lines. Like, they're really good lines. And I think it would have been really funny to see him deliver them.
That's true. Yeah.
And the perspective thing is also not... I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The looking. I didn't think about it before, but yeah. That's really annoying.
Mm-hmm. And, like... Because they do it well when... In the next scene where he's looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, that looks fine. Mm-hmm. But, like, when it's actually... When you're talking... Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Oh, no, that's super annoying. I'm sure they probably shot it and was like, oh, this is the problem. Then it's like, no one will notice.
Yeah.
So this police officer takes him home. Obviously, it's not Sam's house because it's Gary's house. And his mum runs out and is like, Gary, oh my God. And she hugs him.
Young man, are you drunk?
And who are you?
Gary.
And then finally, during this exchange, Sam spots his reflection in the police car window and sees Gary. So he's like, who the hell is that? Who is that? And Gary's dad says, he's out of his gourd. Young man, I'm very surprised at you. And Sam's like, tell me about it. It's quite good.
Yeah. So, I mean, so this little thing is one of the reasons why I wanted to see Jared continue to play Gary, because he's like in the mirror, like flexing, and it's just so funny to see like him like poking at his own muscle. I don't know, it was just so silly.
Yes.
And he's just, he's just so impressed by his new outfit, let's say. Then Dean enters and he's asking Sam where he's been, and he's been trying to call him, and Gary picks up food. He's like, well, I got you food, like, and repeats the same order that he had earlier. And he's like, oh, I just lost track of time. I didn't mean to freak you out.
Thanks. I don't know why it took you 2 hours, but thanks.
Like, the wheels should be turning a little bit here.
Definitely.
And Gary's like, well, we kind of have to go eat on the road. And Dean's like, why? And he says, because a maid came in and saw and, like, shows all the weapons on the bed. And now they're all freaking out. And Dean's like, well, why did you let him in? It's like, it just happened. Dean's like, oh, fine, we'll leave after I've used the bathroom or I've hit the head. And Gary says, I'll be outside. And as Dean goes into the bathroom, Gary takes all of their cell phones and like dumps them, which is kind of smart. Like, why? How would you even know to look for that?
Yeah, I know.
Unless the demon told him. I don't know. I don't know how much information was given rather than...
It seems too smart for Gary. I think that's the problem with it, yeah. But it's the only way to explain why Sam can't get hold of Dean in this episode.
yeah, definitely. I wonder, I haven't done this in forever. Like, calling in to listen to your voicemail, does that still work? Would I even know the PIN? I don't know.
I don't know.
Dean comes out and asks if he's ready. And Gary's like, hey, can I drive? And Dean's like, sure. Yeah, okay. He's like, oh, sweet. Dean's just kind of I'm guessing he's kind of fed up with Sam for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess maybe because he took too long and now he's being all demanding, like just being a bit weird. And he's like, come on, let's go. And he puts it in reverse and he's like, reverse. And then
It's in reverse.
after he's hit the dumpster behind him. They then switch seats and Dean drives off. We then cut to Gary's house and Sam's leaving him a message and he's basically like, where are you? Sorry, I'm pausing because when he goes to listen to those messages later on in the episode, it's Sam's voice. It's not Gary's voice.
I know, right? It should have been Gary's voice because I thought that while he was sending this message, like, he's going to get this later on and it's going to be just like there's some kid on the phone. But it's not.
No, it's oh, they made. I'm starting to dislike this episode a lot more and more because these little details just add up. Anyway, it's okay. It's a silly episode. It's a silly episode. It's a silly episode. So Sam's explaining what's happened. Like it's going to sound crazy, but I think I'm in the wrong body. Could use a little help, and I think I have asthma. Asthma. Call me back. So he then calls the hotel that they were staying at, and he asks to get put through to room 102. And the guy on the phone says that no, they've already checked out in the middle of the night. The guys left, and Sam's like, "Guys," is like, "Yeah, one in a leather jacket and one Sasquatch." And then he turns around to look in the mirror again, and he's like, "Who are you?" And then he starts to like go through his stuff, and he's like, "Oh, smart kid," because he has like AP classes. And then he gets like, he's in a Darth Vader shirt, and he pulls out another one. He's like, "Virgin." That's not a correlation. It might be a causation, but it's not a correlation.
Yeah, that's true.
He then looks under the bed and finds a porn mag. And he says, "Frustrated virgin," probably. And then he finds a dagger and like a cloth with a pentagram.
Witchcraft, huh, Gary? You little satanic bastard.
Like, the thing is with Gary, is like, I know, before we know, like, kind of, I guess, why he did this, if it had just been random, he picked like the worst possible person to body swap with. Like, Sam's pretty good at witchcraft. And he doesn't even really like use it in this episode either, like the witchcraft angle. So,
No, that's true.
Yeah. This is just one of those things. This is one of those experiences that made Sam think, I really need to get better at witchcraft because, like, people are coming after me with it.
Yeah, I need to ward off any more body swapping. And then you hear Gary's mum like calling him down for breakfast, and he's like, "Leave me alone." And it's like, "All right, I'm going." Like he's like, "God damn it, I'm 17 again." Basically, it's like, I thought I got away from this. Like, talking about being the worst possible body swap.
Yeah.
Dean would have loved this.
I know, right? You're like, waffles or whatever the hell they're eating in the morning.
Yeah, well, he's not allowed waffles because of gluten, but
That's true. That would be really sad for me. Like, I feel for people who have a gluten intolerance because I don't know what I'd eat. I don't know. I would just wither away.
So they're now all sat at the dinner table, and Gary's dad is like asking about what happened last night, and Sam's like, "You wouldn't believe me even if I told you." And then he's like, the dad's like, "What happened to the plan, buddy? You know, the SATs, MIT, the plan. You're gonna be an engineer. You need a full ride. So tell me, how does getting drunk fit into the plan?" The thing is, if you're not caught, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
And like, this is 2010, so being caught is very difficult. I mean, now it's going to be much more harder because TikTok is everywhere and people have phones everywhere. So like, someone's going to record you being drunk.
Do you know, I'm so grateful that I grew up before people would just like randomly record you doing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
Me too.
Because there would be so many bad videos of all of us on the internet. My God, can you imagine? No, it makes me like actually sweat a little bit to think about. There are already photos on the internet of me doing things I'm not proud of. So like, if there have been more, like, oh my God,
I know.
I worry for this generation.
The other side of that, though, is when this generation comes into the workforce, it'll be our generation who'll be hiring them.
Oh, that's true. I don't care.
So, yeah, exactly. We're going to be like, "Okay, you're being a dumb kid. Like, we get it.
Yeah.
Like, we did the same thing, but just nobody caught us."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. The thing is, it makes me so scared to like, just think about what what kids get up to, and you're like, my parents never knew the full extent of what I got up to, so like.
But the other crazy part of this, and we're talking like two old biddies, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
The other crazy part of this is that like kids literally film themselves doing crime and don't even think about it.
That's so true. That's so true. When you do get to your 20s, you're going to have nothing to confess to your parents, which I feel is a bonding moment. When I was like, I told my mum some of the stuff that I'd done. She was like, what? And I'm like, hey, I'm too old to punish now.
I'm about to go back to university, so live with that information.
Yeah. Peace out. Oh, man.
That's so funny. So back to the episode.
Yeah. Listen, buddy. No offense, but at the moment I could give a rat's ass about your plan.
And he's then starts to like interrogate the family. It's like, listen, have I seemed moody lately, withdrawn? And his sister's like, Gary's sister's like, wow, like a juicy drama kind of thing. He's like, any occult fixations? Let me guess, I'm amazing at Latin. And his mum's like, oh, you do have an ear for languages. And then he goes on this like wild, like, have any animals gone missing recently? You know? And his dad's like, are you smoking drugs? Sam then asks if he's seen him with a book, him being Gary. You know, it would have been old, covered in symbols, and I'm probably hiding it. Like, he realizes that asking is probably not the best idea. Sam then reaches over to his mum's plate and like takes a bite of his mum's toast, and you're like, you're allergic to wheat gluten. Because he has to run to the bathroom, and his sister like intercepts him as she goes, and she basically confirms that Gary has a creepy book, and if his parents found it, he'd be grounded for a decade. I don't know how he knew the sister's name, because his sister's called Sydney, and just suddenly he's like, Sydney, where do I keep it?
I guess there's some like missing scenes in between breakfast, and his parents probably said it. Yeah.
We're then outside in like a street. It kind of looks like wishful thinking, actually. It looks like the same kind of downtown area. And Gary's like, so where are we going? And he's like, to work the case.
Oh, right, yeah. The case, of course. Where do you want to start?
So all of this as Jared doing all of these lines would have been hilarious.
It would have been funny, right? I wish they'd done it.
And Dean was like, well, since you couldn't find anything on Maggie Briggs, we're going to have to just do an all-day tombstone roll, and see if we can dig her up. And Gary's like, wait, Maggie Briggs, you mean the witch? And he's like, yeah, Sherlock. Gary's like, well, she's in the basement. So basically Maggie was a mistress, or maybe not, I don't know. But Isaiah Pickett got her pregnant and killed her and buried her in the basement of his house. And Dean's like, oh, so that explains the murdered child. And he's like, how do you know this? He's like, oh, I've done all kinds of research, you know, last night. They get in the car and Rock and Roll Forever starts playing. And Gary's like, oh yeah, turn it up. And Dean's like, seriously? Again, this should be a huge red flag, because you know that Sam doesn't like rock music.
No, he likes like Enya or something.
So we then cut to Sam, and he's at school. How awful to go back to school when you're out. Why would you even attend classes? Like, surely you would just go and just. I know he's trying to get to his locker, but like, ugh. No, I'd just like not go. It's not my problem. It's not my body.
Like, go and try and find your body, you know, like go to the motel room and see if there's any clue about where they went, or it's weird. But yeah, it's also funny to see Sam / Jared at school, like with all the like
With the giant height difference between him and like the high schoolers.
Basically, he should have just played both parts in this episode. We should have gone full like Jared episode, played both parts. Yeah.
Yeah. Get his money's worth.
Yeah.
So a teenage boy and a teenage girl like go up to him.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm Gary. Gary is okay.
So I don't know whether I found this like unnecessarily funny because, again, out of the cast, Jared is the only one who refers to himself in the third person. Have you noticed that when he answers questions? Watch some convention questions because
Okay.
they'll say like, I'm trying to think of an example. Something like Sam does, like, why did you choose to make that decision? And he'll be like, well, Sam, like Sam does this because this is what Jared's like, or something like that. Like he refers to himself in the third person quite a lot where other cast members don't. And I just wondered if that was a little like
nod to him.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I get what he does.
I never noticed that.
It's kind of like a separation between him and Sam, I guess, and trying to explain. I guess it's a hard thing to explain where the line is between you as an actor and where you use your character. So it kind of makes sense sometimes to refer to yourself in the third person. But I always just thought it's a funny quirk of his.
Yeah. So they've heard about what happened the night before, and Sam's like, yeah, he got drunk, no big deal. He's like, so what's my locker number? He's like, yeah, he kind of very dismissive, and he just wants to know what the locker number is. He then goes to Gary's locker and he finds the book, and it's a very, very bad book. We then come back to Dean and Gary, and it says in an abandoned house. This is one thing I didn't understand. They know that the house belongs to, like, the house that the maid lived in was owned by Isaiah Pickett.
It's just
So
their
why are they-
basement. It's just their basement. It's just right.
Is it though, or is it an abandoned house?
I mean, it looks abandoned. I agree with you there, but I just assumed it was just their spooky basement.
I would assume so too. It's weird that in the transcript they called it an abandoned house because it's not. It's the house that they know to go to.
But it also does look pretty abandoned. Like there's lots of cobwebs everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a basement, so, and it looks like an open floor basement too.
Yeah.
Like there's no real foundation. So they're walking down the stairs with flashlights.
Yeah, Master Chief is in the house, bizzatches.
You all right?
Yeah, fine.
And he's like, well, I'll be damned, Willow's mossed. And Gary's like, oh, that's supposed to grow over witches' graves. And Dean looks over like, yeah,
Of course.
of course it does. Like, if anybody knows, it's you.
Yeah.
Dean starts to like dig up the bones, and Gary has the shotgun aimed at Dean, and he says, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry about this. And he says, sorry about what? And then suddenly Gary is thrown and hits the wall, and he's like, yeah, I'm fine, but let's get out of here. Dean's like, wait, we still got to burn the body, you idiot, come on. And then Dean goes flying into the wall, and the ghost appears, and she then burns up as she goes to attack Dean. And Gary managed to burn the body, and he's like, dude, that was sweet.
I love that Dean doesn't get murdered in this episode because he's kind of just a cool dude. Like that's pretty much the reason. Like he's basically convinced this teenage boy that he's like, he's a cool dude, doesn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
Because he likes burgers and rock music and killing ghosts.
At one point in this episode, I was like, do you think Trevor's going to try and take over? Like, I remembered this episode, but like not really. I thought the plan was for these three teenagers to each swap bodies with older people so that they could get out of the thumb of their like family.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, who's the girl gonna take over? Because it hasn't been like, was it gonna be Crystal? Like, but no, that wasn't the plot of this episode.
No, I'll be honest, the plot is odd on this one. I still maintain it's weird. We learn a bit more about it in these scenes. So, because we see Sam walking away from the school with the book, and the two friends of Gary are following him, and they're suspicious because he's skipping class. Like, that's not like Gary. Like, as he's going to leave, Trevor, the boy, fires another dart at Sam. So he got tranked twice in like 24 hours, which can't feel good. And like Trevor says, like, well, what else was I supposed to do? You know, because the girl's like, Trevor.
How funny would this have been? I don't know how they could have done this, but to have Cass in this episode and Cass being like, that's not Sam.
Yeah, right, just immediately like, that's not Sam. What are you doing? That's not Sam. Yeah. Don't know who that guy is, but that's not Sam. Yeah, that would be awesome. So we go to a bar, and Dean and Gary are at a table together. A waitress is bringing them drinks, and Dean asks her for a cheeseburger with extra bacon and a fried egg on top, which sounds so good. Like, I could eat that right now.
Yeah, me too.
So hungry. And Gary's like, oh, that sounds good, ditto. And then Dean's like, okay, who are you and what have you done with Sam? And he's like, wait, what do you mean? Because, you know, Sam doesn't eat bacon cheeseburgers. And Gary just says like, well, you know, we're celebrating, and toasts his class. And, you know, Dean says like, oh, you know, nice work today. And Gary's like, you too, I had a really awesome day, man. Like, seriously. And again, Dean's suspicious. He's like, well, that was a random D-list ghost hunt, and that's awesome to you. And Gary's like, I can't be in a good mood. Again, Jared doing these lines would have been so good. I'm mad about this now. And, you know, Dean says, well, it's not really your style, you know, to be in a good mood, Sam. And Gary says, well, it's a new me. I mean, come on, why shouldn't I be happy? I've got a gun, I'm getting drunk, and I look like this. And then he says, don't you ever feel like your whole future is being decided for you?
This whole conversation should have just been red flags. They literally know that this is exactly what's happening. I know that's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Is that like Dean's just willing to sweep this under the rug as like Sam basically having some sort of mental break or something.
Yeah. it really is that. And Dean's like, yeah, I feel that a lot, you know, like.
No matter how much you fight it, you can't stop the plan. Stupid plan.
So it's nice to do a little ass kicking for a change, that's all. And then he says, you know what, I'm drunk, just forget it. And Dean's like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll drink to that. And he's like, oh, is it just me, or are we actually drinking together? And Guy's like, you know, we don't do that often, eh? And Dean's like, no, you know, you could say that, we don't do it. And then the guy's like, you're a good guy, Dean. You're a good guy. Yeah.
I'm going to keep saying this for every conversation that they have. But surely Dean knows Sam needs more than like 2 shots and a beer to be drunk enough to like, I don't know. Because in the last episode, he's like, you were always a happy drunk. So like he knows how he is when he's drunk.
I mean, he is being a very happy drunk here.
Yeah, I guess so. But he's not doing the faces, is he?
No, well, no.
That's true.
It's like the waitress brings in their burgers, and like Gary's really enjoying his because he's like, the bread alone, because obviously he doesn't get to eat bread normally. And then we, you know, a little bit of time has passed, and we cut to the scene at the beginning of this episode where Crystal is chatting up Gary, and he leaves. And as he goes, he leaves with Crystal, he turns to Dean and says, we're going to do it. And Dean's finally like, wait.
That's not Sam's type.
Yeah, and Sam may be anything, but, you know, he's also, well, I think Crystal is kind of Sam's type. She's an older woman.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And it's like, it's a departure from anything that looks like Ruby, so yeah.
Ooh. But I guess it's unusual behaviour for Sam to be hooking up with anybody, because he normally gets all like the serious. He has to have the feelings first. Sam's a feelings type of man.
Yes, he is.
That's why when he's soulless and just like sleeping his way across the country, it's out of character, right? Because he's not that guy. He has to have the feelings.
The only time he's that guy is when he's not around Dean, and he has to act like Dean.
Yeah, because Dean also sleeps his way across the country.
Literally.
So we cut to Sam, and he's been tied up by Trevor and this girl. What is her name in this episode, do you know?
So the credit says it's Nora.
Nora, thanks. Because I'd rather than call her the girl. And, you know, he's like, what's going on? And Trevor says, you can scream all you want. My parents are out of town. And then, again, we do another cut. And Gary is in bed waiting for this woman to come back from wherever she is. And
Getting comfortable.
He's getting comfortable. And Trevor rings him and says, like, where are you? And he's like, well, I can't really tell you right now, but man, you wouldn't believe it. And, you know, he's like, well, Trevor says, like, well, where's Dean? So Gary tells them he's at like another motel, the Cloverleaf, and they're arguing about why they haven't killed him yet. Sam's obviously overhearing this, like, why do you want to kill Dean? Like, what's he got to do with this whole body swap thing? And, you know, Trevor's like, we've got problems because I'm looking at your body right now with this other guy in it. So did Gary not think that, like, body swapping would actually... Where did he think that his body would go? That's what I want to know.
I think what he thought was going to happen was that Sam's soul would just get ejected and just be out in the wild, and his body would basically be dead.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, because he wasn't really expecting this to happen, I don't think. Yeah. You know, and they're saying, like, you know, this guy's been hanging out with your parents, and Gary's not worried because, like, you know, no one's going to believe him. We're still good. And Trevor's encouraging him to kill Dean. Crystal appears. She is dressed amazingly. Like, she's got, like, a black dress on, boots, gloves. Like, she's ready to have a good time.
So the thing that made me laugh about... So she also has, like, a riding crop in her hand. Can you imagine... So you body swap back, not knowing what happened, and suddenly you have, like, damage, let's say.
Yeah.
Like, from a night you just don't know about.
Oh, God, poor Sam. Why does this keep happening to him?
I don't know.
I don't think, and this is, I mean, it's implied that he does, but I don't think that Gary went through with this. I don't think so. I think he's too much.
No, he's too afraid. It's too much woman for him.
That's way too much woman for him. I don't think he went through with this.
Or is this how? What was her name? The woman who told Dean to put on underwear. Underwear.
Why can't I think of her name? Rhonda Hurley.
Rhonda Hurley. She is Crystal Rhonda Hurley of Gary.
Maybe. Tell me to discover things about himself. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole ethics of using Sam's body for this, but, like, Sam's also not present. I don't know. It's all very weird. Body swapping in Supernatural and, like, vessels generally. Like, I don't even know how we can start talking about it anymore. But yeah, I don't think anyone do with this. No.
Well, doesn't he say that he did?
Yeah, but he's a...
But he's a... Yeah. What happened is that he got hit once with the riding crop and started crying and, like, just cried in her arms for the rest of the night.
Yeah. I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
So we go back to Trevor's house in the basement, and you know, Trevor's worried that Gary's not going to kill Dean, and Nora's like, it's fine, it's Gary. And obviously Sam's like, how do you even know who Dean is? Like, who are you children? And then Trevor says,
everybody knows Dean. He's Hell's Most Wanted.
Oh.
And Sam's exasperated, like, have you idiots been talking to demons? And he's kind of sad for them. He's like, you're just kids. You have no idea what you're messing with. But it turns out there's a price on Dean's head, and they're the ones that are going to collect this like bounty because they were messing about a month ago with the book. Well, that's what Nora says, messing around. And
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call praying to our dark overlord goofing around.
Trev, come on.
Yeah, right.
And then Gary went into like a weird trance where they were doing this. He picked up a pencil and he drew like a really good drawing of Dean, and they like show him this drawing, which it's decent. And Trevor's like, you know, it's really weird. Gary can't draw. I mean, this just further the plot a bit because it turns out that basically Hell have sent out this bounty to anyone who's got any contact with demons. So witches, like occultists, anyone who's summoning any demons are looking for Dean. And then, you know, Gary saw them and decided to swap bodies with Sam to go in, and they call it Trojan horse style, so he could kill Dean, which is actually an extremely smart plan because how else would they ever get the drop on Dean?
That's true.
You know, I think that is actually quite smart. Sam's like, you know, you're making a terrible mistake. We're talking about demon deals. Killing someone, this isn't a game. You're crossing a line that you won't come back from, believe me. And Nora is actually listening to him. Trevor is not.
So, again, this would have been an interesting scene if it was the reverse. So we see the actor of Gary. Because the reason why Nora is even around is because she has a thing for Gary.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason why she believes him.
Yeah.
Is because it's Gary telling her.
Yeah, exactly. It would have worked better. That's the main thing. It would have worked better, but definitely. You know, she's like, maybe he has a point, and Trevor's like, you know what, you want something done right, and he's gonna go kill Dean, and then he opens up the book instead to a page on demon summoning. I don't know why, but I was like, wouldn't it have been really funny if they just summoned Crowley? And I don't know, I kind of expected it to happen, and then, you know, what have you two idiots got yourself into this time? It doesn't know them well enough yet, it's annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going to summon a demon and get paid dollar bills. And then back at the motel room, we see Gary turn up. Dean's asleep, and Gary goes to pulls a gun on him when Dean appears behind him because he used the old pillow in the bed trick and punches him. Says, "You're not Sam. Who the hell are you?" Trevor's summoning a demon, and Sam's begging him not to. He's like, "Please don't summon a demon. Like, come on, don't summon a demon." Nora's going, "Don't summon a demon." But they're doing it all for selfish reasons. Like he's saying, you want to get into Vassar, don't you? Like they're all trying to get into different colleges and make money, and it's all teenage stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally very short-sighted.
Yeah, you think you're
wants.
invincible as well, like immortal. No. So he does the whole Latin, and then nothing happens. But then turns around and Nora's on the floor, and he goes to check her, and obviously she stands up because hey, she's a demon.
Yep, who would have thought that was ever going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, no. You summoned a demon and you got a demon. Oh no.
So we come back and we're still in the basement of Trevor's house, and Nora Demon is like, "So why have you called me here, Skippy, unless it's dinner time?" And he's like, no, we have Dean Winchester. And she's like, "Where?" Sam's trying to stop him from telling this demon, and he says the location. The demon then turns to Sam, says, "Sam, is that you in there?" And he says, "Well, aren't you just 89 pounds of nothing?" And, Sam's trying to reason with this demon, saying, this kid's a moron. He has no idea where Dean is. So the demons only told them half the plan, right? Because they don't know about Sam being wanted by the devil.
Well, yeah, this is it. And obviously the demons weren't expecting them to do Freaky Friday on Sam. So it's kind of a bonus, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she says, "If Sam's here, where's the body?" And Trevor's like, "A dangerous warlock named Gary." It's just that was when it clicked. They don't use wizards for boy men.
Yeah.
They call them warlocks instead, which I don't know if that's it. I don't know. It just brings Elvira vibes to me. So, and then the Nora demon, no, the demon, just like, so you mean to tell me you've got Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester's meat suit, an empty vessel just waiting to be filled, and you're handing them both over to me? And Trevor's like, yeah, I guess. And she's like, oh, I got hands to you. I'm impressed. And he's like, thanks, but where's the reward? And she's like,
Sure. My undying gratitude.
Yeah.
and he's like, what? Are you serious? And the demon says, consider yourself lucky. He's like, no, wait a minute. We worked our asses off. I want my reward. And then it's like, please? And so again, this is being short-sighted in a teenager and just like not really knowing the world, which, is part of growing up, but he never does. The demon's like, okay, sure. What do you want? It's like, how about $1 million? And she's like, $1 million doesn't buy you much. How about 10? He's like, sure, I'll take 10. And I want Mindy Schwartz, which I'm guessing is probably like the hottest girl in school, to fall in love with him. I mean, maybe not, but that's usually how these kind of things go, isn't it? And the demon's like, love and money, sticking to the basics, I can respect that, but here's my counter. And she like drives her hand into his chest, killing him. And she licks the blood off of her hand. It says, tastes like moron. And like, poor Nora, right? She just killed one of her friends.
Yep. I mean, I think maybe the upside of this is Trevor didn't necessarily go to hell. I know he summoned a demon, but he hadn't actually made any deals or anything. So I get not automatically going to go there. I don't really know how it works.
No, he will.
Poor Trevor.
Yeah, because if they were, well, I don't know. I guess we don't know enough about Trevor, but if they're doing spell work, more than likely they have sold their soul to the demon that they worship.
Well, see, I thought that, but then when Gary meets this demon later, he actually asks to become a witch. So I assumed that maybe because you can still do magic and supernatural without selling your soul, because
that's true.
Boys do it all the time. So I just wondered. I'll just look on a little bright side for these teenagers.
So I wonder, Sam said at the sort of beginning of this episode that Gary has the thing for languages. I wonder if that's like part of what makes you a natural witch.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
In this universe, because Sam also is really good with languages, and he's, master witch.
Yeah, like you can. It's like you can do magic without selling your soul, but like to get real power, the called like snappy finger kind of witchcraft without having to do the whole ritual business. I think that's the kind of like selling your soul deal.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we're back at the motel, and Gary is tied to a chair, and Dean is listening to his messages. And this is what I was saying, like, because he obviously called in to listen to his messages, which I feel like is a very, like, I didn't know you could do this with mobile phones, and you could do this for house phones, but not cell phones. I never listened to my voicemails. I literally read them.
I know, yeah. Or get someone to read them. Wait, I'm going to send someone to read them to you. Like, that's still listening to them. So I'm really find them today. It's because my car reads my text messages, and I just equated that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we hear Sam's voice. We've said this already in this episode, but this is the point where we hear Sam's voice where he's explaining, like, the guy next to you is not me. And it's like, check your freaking messages. Yeah, shouldn't have been Sam's voice, but okay.
Yeah.
All right, pal, either you start talking or I start waterboard.
And Gary's like, oh God, please don't hurt me. Please, I'm so sorry. Such a baby. Yeah. It's not even your body. Like,
yeah, like it's his brother, so like he's not going to do any lasting damage.
Exactly. He's asking where Sam is, and he says he's at my friend's basement. His parents are out of town. He's like, parents, how old are you? He says 17. And then the demon, Nora, walks in and throws Dean across the room. And then back at Trevor's house, Sam's like trying to get out, but he can't because he's too weak, basically.
And like, you know, normally he'd be like flex and like the ropes would break. So he's like, what's going on?
And he gets all like out of breath because obviously Gary has asthma, so he has the same condition. Dean's unconscious so we're back in the motel. Dean's unconscious on the floor, and the demon's talking to Gary.
You earned your dessert tonight, kiddo.
Tell me anything that you want. And this is when Gary says, you know, I want to be a witch for real and really powerful. The demon's like, good choice. I get it. No daddy, no MIT, no plan. You just get to be big and strong and nobody can tell you what to do anymore. The funny thing about that, about being big and strong, you could literally, Gary's not a short dude. Like, he's not Sam tall, but nobody's really Sam tall. Like, he's just average height.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get strong, you just literally go to the gym.
Just like, stop trying to take shortcuts, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just do the work and it's fine. Like, I understand, like, with health issues, like, asthma is going to be more difficult.
That's true, yeah.
But, like, you just do a little bit at a time and over time it will work.
And like, you can go to MIT and like also be a witch. Like, the two aren't mutually exclusive.
Right? And the demon's like, well, there's just one small formality first. You've got to meet the boss. And Gary's like, the boss is like, you know, your satanic master or whatever the kids are calling it these days. And Gary's like, the devil. No, I'm okay. I don't really want to bother him. Yeah. And the demon's like, well, he wants to meet you, so relax, it'll be easy. He's going to ask you one little question, and all you have to do is say yes, and then you get your reward, which is basically death. He's not going to survive, so...
Well, no, he'd be stuck in there with Lucifer, presumably.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, he probably... until somebody let out Gary and... like Sam Gary, so he can perform the. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. This bit bothers me. Like, would this work? Like, is this how Lucifer could get Sam as a vessel? Like, would this work? Can Gary give consent over Sam's body to Lucifer? Like, I'm so confused by this.
By the sounds of it, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a try, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, it would be really interesting to see on screen. Like, Lucifer's there, like, asking the question, and Gary says yes for Sam, but it just doesn't work.
Or, like, he gets transported into Gary's body, because that's... No, wait, that wouldn't work. See, I'm so confused by the whole thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if, like... Okay, no, let's play this out. If Gary said yes to Lucifer and then Lucifer possessed his body, I do actually think you're right. I think Gary would die in Sam's body. But then presumably if he dies, the spell gets like undone and then Sam would switch back to his body, but he'd be stuck in there with Lucifer. It's a bad day.
It's a bad day, yeah. And they've only seen it once with Bobby with them, and yeah, once with Bobby, of taking back possession of the body, but that's only a demon. Like, is it possible with angels? I don't think so. I think angels 100% take over because the consent is given versus a demon which just takes it.
And like,
can you should be able to revoke your consent, right?
Yeah, you should. That's it, because it should what they say about consent, it should be like continuing and enthusiastic, and I feel like in the case of supernatural it never is.
No, you get one enthusiastic yes, and that is it.
Yeah, that's
after
it.
that, you're screwed.
Exactly. I mean, I don't. And there's also like a conversation to be had there. Then, like, if Gary couldn't give consent to Lucifer for Sam's body, does that mean that the original owner has to give consent? Because this could be also a permanent solution to the apocalypse problem. Just put Sam in a different body.
Yeah, I mean. The thing to do, which I'm surprised the demon didn't do, is to kill Gary and kill Sam, because we now know from later seasons, because Jimmy's dead, right? Jimmy Novak is dead, but the body of Cass or Jimmy still exists.
Yeah.
So you don't need the soul to have the body.
That's true. So it would work. I was worried that like if they killed Sam and Gary's body, it would like lock Sam's body for possession. I don't know.
Again, maybe it's just it needs to be that one time yes. But then it also brings back to Zachariah's argument with Dean, saying like when Dean said, you know, I'll just kill myself, and he's like, well, I'll just bring you back. So you need at least one time a yes.
Yeah, you do, and then that yes is good forever, I think.
Yeah.
In the case of say like Jimmy Novak, right? Because but he does also because by that time that like Cass possessed Claire, I think Jimmy had to say yes again to Cass, or was that just Cass being a nice guy?
Oh, I don't know.
See, it's very confusing. Stupid supernatural rules.
I know, and it just changes over time.
Yeah, exactly.
It changes to when it needs to be convenient.
Yeah.
So Dean is now awake and goes to attack Nora, or the demon, but she manages to stop him, which I'm kind of glad that they didn't kill a teenage girl.
I know, right?
There was already one teenage death. We don't need another one.
Yeah.
And Gary starts the exorcism, and she's like, what was that? And he says, nothing. And she gets really angry. Dean then continues, I was so proud of Dean. He remembers how to knows the exorcism.
Almost.
That's true. So they sort of bounce it back and forth so that why they never do this again.
It sounds good, yeah.
Because they bounce back and forth for the exorcism.
Adios, bitch.
It's Adinos.
You can get this version because I've seen it on a t-shirt with the adios bitch on the bottom, which I think is quite fun. That's right.
And that's the demon is exorcised, and back to hell it goes.
And they save someone. Nora's alive.
They do.
So they go back to Trevor's house because, you know, Sam never escaped. So they had to go get him. And, you know, Nora is there. She's alive. You're right. And Dean's watching Gary, who's, like, sorting out the spell between them. And he does some Latin and some... You know, the thing they do in Supernatural where they go, like, poof, in a bowl. That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they've done it. They swapped places back because Sam gets up and looks at himself like, yeah. I'm tall again.
I have my muscles. I no longer have asthma.
Yeah. Flip. You should have done a hair flip. That was what was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, get my hair back. Oh, yeah. He does say, oh man, it's nice to be back. And Gary's like, yeah, it's awesome. And Dean starts to tell him off and he's like, I know, it's my bad. And Dean's like, my bad?
Kid, my bad ain't gonna cut it. See, if you were of voting age, you'd be dead.
Which, okay. He said, because we would kill you, so you either straighten up and fly right, or we will kill you. It's scaring him straight.
Mm-hmm. I think this is like the second time they've threatened a teenager, I think.
I
right?
think so, yeah. But I mean, like, what else do you do to stop them from summoning demons? I mean, there's no, like, there's no support group for that. So they drop off Gary at Gary's house, and Nora as well. and Gary's like, oh man, you know, and Sam says, Gary, take it from someone who knows. Chin up, man, your life ain't that bad. And he's like, you don't like their plan for you? Tell them to cram it. Rebel a little bit in a healthy, non-satanic way, of course. And he tells him, like, you know, Nora's into witchcraft because she likes you. And he's like, oh, really? Yeah. And Sam's like, I wish I'm telling you, kid, I wish I had your life. And then he's like, thank you, and leaves. Dean turns to him and says, that was a nice thing to say.
Totally lied. Kid's life sucked ass.
And it's like the funniest bit of the episode. Like, Sam's savage. Absolute savage.
I mean, for all of their, like, ups and downs of their life, I mean, at least they didn't have to worry about asthma.
No, that's true.
Like, can you imagine trying to like run away from any of the creatures and like not being able to?
Well, Dean
physically?
is they're lactose intolerant though, isn't he? And it's just like being kept from him by plot armor.
That's true. I forgot about that. So yeah, they might actually have all the health issues, but they just don't know because of Lady Luck.
Exactly right. So it's quite funny because to him it does suck. I mean, Sam's never had this kind of life, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. So
the funny thing is, like, he got into Stanford, so he got into an equivalent of MIT.
He knows.
So he's already done the stressful part of getting those grades to get into those places. So really he should be like,
just knuckle down, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done all of this. It's not that hard. not that hard, but like, I don't know.
He should have Elle Woods him. It's like it's hard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she did get a better LSAT than he did. So.
Exactly. I mean, so they call back to the conversation they were having before he got body swapped, and Sam says, all that apple pie family crap, it's stressful. It's like, trust me, we didn't miss a damn thing. And Dean's like, oh, we don't know what we're missing. Yeah. Sad times. I love that Sam thinks it's stressful compared to their life.
I know, right? I know it's all about perspective, and I don't know. You're literally running from the devil.
No, but getting into MIT is stressful.
Yeah.
Or is he just making Dean feel better?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No.
Well, he did say he just totally lied, so maybe he's just on a lying streak.
That's true. It's just, he's not having it. So, you know, Dean starts the car and the rock and roll song starts and Sam's like, come on, man, turn it down. And Dean's like, welcome back. And they roll off into the sunset. Yep.
All the night.
All the night. Yeah. No sunsets yet. Not allowed any sunsets.
They're allowed sunrises. That's it.
Yeah. You know what? You won me over this episode. It was fun talking about it. It was okay.
Yeah, it was just silly. It's really silly.
It's really silly.
If you're gonna have a filler, at least make it fun bad, right?
Right. It has to be worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're saying that. Will I watch it again? Probably not.
No, I don't think so. It doesn't further the plot in any way.
No. And like the whole bounty thing doesn't really lead anywhere.
Definitely doesn't, no. And I mean, we kind of already knew that they were looking for them. You know, that's not new news.
Right, exactly. And like, I guess I think this is the first time overtly that they've been trying to kill.
Which makes sense, and like, surely Heaven are also trying to kill Sam, or like some of them are, right?
You would think so.
But also, like, they don't really seem to be.
They seem more focused on getting Dean than killing Sam. Like, because they want the apocalypse to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think the demons want the apocalypse to happen.
They just want Lucifer to get his vessel and lead them into battle.
Somewhere.
And then, yeah, if you don't have Michael, they're going to win, right? So.
Right.
And also, with Dean taking out the equation, Sam's much more likely to say yes. Yeah, that's good, isn't it? It's fine. Yeah, it was fun. Probably won't watch it again. It was interesting to see Sam in a Star Wars t-shirt. Like, that's pretty much what this episode was for.
Right. It made me think of like season 1 Sam, actually. Yeah. Just everything that he wore was season 1 Sam.
That's so true.
I also loved the like inadvertent school uniform that they wore, the two teenagers, because it's like a green jacket and a beige flannel shirt.
Yeah.
Like it's not really a school uniform, but it is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's just funny. That was good. It was fine. Why we got a filler episode? We just do. Couldn't think of enough plot.
Yeah.
And I'm still mad that they have these kind of body swap episodes, and Cass never possessed either of them. I'm sure I said this before, and I'll say it again. Absolute waste. Don't believe they never did it in 15 years.
I know. It would have been so great. It would have been so great.
Yeah.
I basically I want this episode where it could be either of them. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, same.
But like Nisha has to act like one of those two, and then one of those two has to act like Cass.
It's all I want in my life. I just want that episode. Why didn't it happen? So sad.
I know. Dang.
Damn it.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. And we're actually going back to plot next episode, right? Kinda.
So the next episode is the song remains the same. So Anna's back for what that's worth. I don't really know because I feel like she comes back and anyway. Yeah. So Anna's back and they go back in time.
Yep.
So maybe I'll try and watch the Winchesters in between and then compare the two. No, I'm not going to do that. That's too much work. I mean, yeah, haven't really got anything else to say about this episode. It was fun.
I just realised that I was saying like, why aren't the angels going after Sam? That's what this next episode is all about.
Oh, well, there you go. You got your answer.
I am a dumb ass. Well, at the end of the episode, I'd like to thank Pixel Agora for his wonderful artwork for our podcast. And if you'd like to purchase that on a baseball trucker cap, I'm sure that exists. And you can be the Bobby to our podcast. Look on Redbubble. And if you'd like to talk to us, then come find us on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr. We are Escaping Purgatory Podcast or Escaping Podcast on Twitter.
Yeah. So this week we swapped bodies, realised it wasn't for us, and switched back.
Yep.
And hopefully next week we can find a way out.
Bye!
Bye!